Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevie TPFL. It's September, it's the 21st, it's 2016, it's Wednesday, and we're going to talk about the 12 baseball games here on tonight's slate, the main slate. The slate where me and Siege are going to get game 2 of the 7-game series against Dean and Cardi. They kicked our butts in the first game. How you doing, Dean?
Team Chalk represent. I promised I'm not going to gloat too much, but look, Stevie, fighting against Chalk, it's especially in head-to-head contests, it's like basically, you have the Google Maps or Siri or whatever, and you say, how do I get to so? You're basically saying, thanks for the directions. Don't worry, I'll take the scenic route. I'm still going to try. I'm going to get there in a quicker time. And you're just not going to, because there's a reason why the Chalk is the Chalk.
I'm really glad we made it a 7-game series. One game, you guys kicked our butts today, 109 to 155. I don't think either one of our pitchers are in line for a win, so that's kind of where it's going to end up unless our third baseman that we both have, kind of does anything. But you guys are going to beat us by a good 40 points here.
Yeah, and somebody won a T-shirt too. I haven't figured out just yet, but I ran like an impromptu T-shirt contest on my Twitter account, so I'll let you guys know. It's an ambitious number for whoever picked, my side or our side and the widest margin, which again is going to be around, depending on how things fall in the last couple innings or so, 40 and change, give or take.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a lot. Like I said, we lost by a lot tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, and we'll leave it at that. Let's talk some baseball. If you guys haven't checked out our sponsor site, fantasydraft.com, a lot of baseball action, a lot of football action. The thing that I love about Fantasy Draft, it gives you an option because they did not take away the Monday Night Football game like FanDuel and DraftKings did. So if you want to play on a main slate that has the Monday Night Football game, head on over to Fantasy Draft. Use promo code GRINDERS. That way you guys get incentives here at RotoGrinders for free for a year for Fantasy Draft, and you get a 100% deposit bonus up to $600. Take advantage of those deposit bonuses. They help with the rake. So, all right, Dean, let's talk some baseball. Bringing you on to talk to Chalk, and I'm just going to disagree with everything you say. Probably not, but it sounds good anyway. Chicago at Philadelphia, Chris Sale, Jared Eichhoff. Is this a spot that you like, Sale?
Yeah, you got to love Sale. The ballpark's not particularly great, obviously, but he pitches in a bad ballpark anyway for pitching and does just fine there. He's facing Philadelphia, who's dreadful. They're even worse versus left-handers. He gets to face a pitcher, so that ups his Ks. And we were talking about his Ks earlier in the year. Like, Sale's going to pitch the contact. His price has not gone down. Well, he's been yakking everybody of late. I'm not sure if you check out the old game log, striking out just people left and right, and going 8 or 9 as far as the innings. I'm not sure if he's trying to make a run to get the Cy Young here or something like that, because what else are they playing for at this point? But, I love Chris Sale. I love the upside. He can absolutely go 8, can absolutely go 9, can strike out double digits. And I'm not sure if he's the guy in cash games necessarily, because Scherzer's pitching too against the dreadful Marlins. But you got to love Sale. I can't imagine anybody else has a higher upside than Sale against Philadelphia.
Yeah, 6 straight games with at least 8 innings pitched. Like you mentioned, not playing for anything, but I feel like this is the White Sox kind of showcasing him to trade him in the offseason. They had a lot of issues with the management and Chris Sale and the coaching. Wouldn't you see like this just be a great opportunity for them to showcase him for the rest of the year?
I mean, it's a good spot to pad your numbers against Philadelphia, right?
It is a good spot. We're looking at like Tommy Joseph, Quinn, Franco, and Rupp being the only guys that you're really scared of. And how much are you really scared against Sale with those guys?
Yeah, that's a very loose interpretation of the word scared, but you're right. I mean, I guess Rupp or Joseph, if you're going to be ridiculously contrarian and pick somebody on that side, but I'm not going to roster, because look, I got to live to Team Chalk here. I'm not rostering anybody in Philadelphia, but I suppose if you're going to force me to pick somebody, it's probably Joseph. It's possibly Rupp. But of course, the problem with Joseph is he takes care of that first base spot, and there's a ton of opportunity cost. If you miss at first, you're in a lot of trouble. You got to play some catch up, and I don't necessarily want to wager on Joseph getting the Sale. So no Phillies for me. The other side against Eichhoff, we like lefties against Eichhoff, pretty dramatic splits. Adam Eaton's just not a fun roster. He should be okay. Melky Cabrera, not a fun roster. He should be okay. That's about it for me. I'm not enthused.
Yeah, on Fantasy Draft, man, you're really paying for Sale today on DraftKings as well. Like, this price is really going to make you think about what you want to do. And, like, you're getting a discount on Scherzer to Sale today on DraftKings and Fantasy Draft. So, it's definitely something you want to consider. Great spot for Sale. I don't like any of the bats against Sale, even being team crazy, team contrarian. No, thank you here. I don't mind Melky Cabrera on fantasy draft, pretty cheap there. But outside of that, this game's going to be Chris Sale where I can fit him in. Probably going to end up with more Sale on FanDuel than I am on DraftKings and fantasy draft.
How much is Melky on draft?
I think he was like 6,400.
That's very fair, actually. 6,400. That's pretty fair.
69. Still fair. Under 7.
A little less
7K.
fair, but still fair. Still fair.
All right, let's move on. Boston at Baltimore. My Red Sox taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Ubaldo Jimenez, Clay, Buchholz. Expect a lot of runs to be scored in this game.
Yeah, this feels like a 7-6 game, doesn't it?
It could even be higher than that.
A lot of bullpen usage. Ubaldo Jimenez, Clay Buchholz. This matchup probably took place back in 2007, for all we know. You can't roster either one of these pitchers, obviously. And it's just basically, Ortiz is ridiculous. It's just picking your spots as far as who you like. I suppose you can stack up either team if you're in the stacks. But, 1 through 5 on both teams are perfectly fine, right?
Yes.
No. What else do you want?
No, I'm just saying, I agree. One guy that really stands out to me, dude, why is Chris Davis so cheap today?
I know he's 3.8 on FanDuel. How much is he on draft?
8,400.
That's a little too cheap, probably. Yeah, that's probably too cheap. He's definitely in play.
Yeah, I like that price on him a lot. You're not really getting a discount on anybody else. Ortiz in an excellent spot. Mookie Betts in an excellent spot. All these guys are in great spots. It's just you're paying up for these guys today.
I know you're a BBP guy. Do you buy into the old narrative? It's a small sample, obviously, but Betts is smashed in Camden Yards because, everybody smashes there, right? But he smashed more there than most other places.
I just think that the pitching, me and Derek were talking about it on the podcast yesterday. The pitching that Baltimore has, they have a lot of guys in this rotation that struggle with right-handed power. So I think it's more of that, right?
Yeah, that certainly has something to do with it as well, I'm sure. But it's a combination of, because that ballpark is definitely conducive to all sorts of power. And we talked about it yesterday, me and Cardi. Hey, we both talked to Cardi yesterday, apparently. I was on the 5:30 show with him. And he was talking about how the ballpark jump as far as lefty power from Fenway to Camden, you don't really think of it that way because people think of Camden as a positive ballpark for hitters, but it's much more positive for home runs for righties than it is for lefties. It actually suppresses lefty home runs. Just Ortiz, Poppy has so much power, he just defies it. The upgrade to Camden is just ridiculous. And once again, he's jumping from Boston to Camden. And, we're going to play a little home run derby later. If you don't grab him in the first round or two, I might pounce on Poppy.
If you believe in BVP, he's 3 for 23 off of Jimenez.
Oh, boy. But Jimenez is such a different guy than he was whenever that BVP was created.
Listen, I know that. I'm just saying.
All right, fair enough.
All right. We're on the same page there. Kansas City at Cleveland. Corey Kluber against Ian Kennedy. Kluber, one of my favorite tournament starts on the day. I'm kind of interested to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, he sort of feels like the pivot off of Scherzer and Sale, right? He can absolutely dominate this KC team. He can go the distance. It certainly wouldn't shock me against Kansas City, which is a team that in the past we would kind of fear, kind of run away. But now these days, it's just a pretty putrid offense. He's just a tick cheaper on FanDuel as far as I can tell when we compare to Scherzer and Sale. I'll probably spend up on Sale or Scherzer, but I agree with you. It would not surprise me at all if the Klubot scores more than both those guys.
Yeah, I think I heard today that Cleveland's getting really close to clinching too.
Yeah, how much are you factoring that in down the stretch? Obviously, there's about 10 games left or so, give or take.
I think that's something that we need to pay attention to. If we get teams starting to clinch, I could see pitchers throwing 80 to 95 pitches instead of 100 to 110. Wouldn't you think?
The day after you clinch, you always see the teams roll out the absolute worst lineups ever. That's when you pounce with the worst pitchers. It's hard to project, obviously, now, but going forward, when you notice the team actually officially clinches, almost always you'll see they roll out just all the bench guys, everybody else is kind of hung over, on their chicken and beer and whatever else they had the night before. But, I kind of agree, and I'm kind of curious what Joe Madden's going to do with his pitchers, too, especially a lot of the veterans. And Lester on was Tuesday nights. He went 6 or 7. He was kind of cruising, and I don't think he went too much. What was his pitch count? Do you recall?
I don't remember. I'll look it up real quick, but yeah.
It's definitely something to keep an eye on. And it's That was one of the reasons why I wasn't really on Lester. Like, there was a couple of reasons, just because also Jose Fernandez, you couldn't really buy both of them. But I just liked Jose more. Thought he was in a better spot. But I feel like Lester was going to kind of go 6, maybe 7, and then the Cubs will be up like 5-1 or so, and he would just get the hook because Madden is playing for October and not today.
Yeah, Lester went 7, and he pitched 97.
Okay, yeah, surprising.
Yeah, you're not going to see him go out there when they pretty much they're locked in, obviously. All right, so going back to Kluber here, when we look at the Royals, completely different lineup than what we've seen over the last couple of years. This lineup has a lot more strikeouts in it, and while this is a great ballpark for hitters, like this is a good ballpark for strikeouts too, and I like Kluber here a lot. Ian Kennedy on the other side, any interest in Kennedy here?
Not really. Fly ball pitcher, negative ballpark shift. He's going to give up a home run or two. I'm more interested in the bats there in Cleveland than I am in Kennedy. Kennedy can be fine, sure, I suppose. He's just not cheap enough where I'm tempted. I mean, I'll just find a way to get the extra 2K or so and splurge on a much better pitcher. Santana's fine at first. I'm okay with Lindor at shortstop. Kipnis is perfectly fine. Not necessarily seeking him out. If I have the salary to get there, sure. I think it's a perfectly fine play. As far as the Royals, I can't tell you the last time I rostered a Royal. Maybe like Jarrett Dyson at minimum salary when he leads off. That's about it. I just don't roster them, and I'm not going to roster them against Kluber. So 0 Royals for me, not happening. And as far as Cleveland, yeah, I'll probably sprinkle in some Santana, maybe a little bit of Kipnis, and Lindor is probably my favorite play when considering the shortstop position and how thin it is tonight.
See, this is where we're so different. I love Napoli in this spot. Mike Napoli has 27 home runs off of right-handed pitching this season. A lot of hard contact, really high ISO. And when we look at Kennedy, he gives up a 38% hard contact rate to righties. You've already mentioned the fly ball. Napoli's a fly ball hitter. All it takes is one hard contact, and this is a good ballpark for a home run.
Yeah, and if you're doing the ownership percentage deal, like Napoli's one of those guys, I mean, it's very easy to predict. Whenever Cleveland's facing a lefty, he's more likely to be owned than Santana. If they're facing a righty, it's going to be more likely to be Santana. So you're basically playing the ownership game there, right?
I am. On Fantasy Draft, I'll probably have a team or two with Santana and Napoli.
I do like the versatility there, the rosters on Fantasy Draft. By the way, I keep on advancing in my NFL. In top 70% or so. I love the survivors over there. Please, TFS industry, I'm sure they're listening. The more survivors, the better, right? How much fun is the survivor format? Very
fun. I got all 50 of my teams through on FanDuel again this week.
There you go. Oh, yeah, likewise. Yeah, I'm right there with you. And on DraftKings. DK has them too.
With one of the worst weeks I've ever had in football. Washington at Miami, Max Scherzer, Tom Kohler. Scherzer, excellent spot for him. We're only really worried about 2 or 3 bats here for Miami.
Who are these 2 or 3 bats you speak of?
Well, you have to be worried about Stanton and Yelich.
Is Stanton a full bat, though? Because he only plays 6 innings. He's like playing Little League.
Yeah, but he still has that home run upside. We've seen it now.
Yeah, I know. I'm just messing around playing the devil's advocate here. You certainly can't roster Stanton. At least I won't. 3-9, can't do it. And it's one of those weird things where it's like if you're rostering the pitcher, you almost kind of sort of want Stanton in there to some degree, especially if it's a strikeout pitcher, because Stanton, ups the upside of a pitcher because he's more likely to strike out than your average outfielder. So if you're rostering Scherzer, you're almost kind of happy to see Stanton in there. It's sort of a weird thing. Is that an approach you have? Is that a thought process you have? Because it's something that kind of pops in my head on occasion.
Well, Stanton strikes out a bunch, so I love seeing him in there. I'm always afraid of the home run, but what's the damage going to be? A solo home run, if Yelich gets on in front of him, a 2-run homer, like that's kind of the worst thing that I see here.
Yeah, he gives up Scherzer's given up some home runs here and there, of course, throughout the season, so I suppose he can give up 1 or 2. Most likely a solo shot, like you said, because the Marlins, this is not a team that's going to rally necessarily. It's a bad roster. I'm a Marlins fan. They're kind of sputtering to the end, and I'm kind of surprised they actually did as well as they did. As far as the other side, you're going to get a bunch of Washington guys that are going to be low owned. Certainly, Tommy Kohler, big salad. You can't roster him, right?
No. So Bryce Harper, a lot of talk about him. Is he healthy? Is he hurt? Like really down season for Harper. But like, if you believe in the BVP machine, he's 10 for 29 off Kohler with 6 home runs. That
seems pretty good.
Yeah, that's a lot. So like if there's ever a get right spot. But if he's hurt, he did not look good at the plate. I watched a lot of that Miami game. Fernandez was just fun to watch tonight, whether you had him or not. I obviously didn't have him against Dino, but yeah. It was just, where do you really pick on Kohler if Murphy's out of the lineup is my issue.
Yeah, he's dealing with the buttocks. I know he pinch hit last night.
2 days in a row now, though.
Yeah, I imagine somebody gave him some ice cream, and he's probably feeling better. And maybe once you crack the lineup, yeah, I suppose Murphy's fine. But again, he's going to be off the board. He's a tournament play. You talked about Bryce Harper. He's like what's her name? Akia. He's dealing with the neck and the back, so he's not 100%. There's rumors that he's just kind of playing into this string, and the stats certainly show it. He came out the first month of the season or so and absolutely smashed, and he's basically been in a slump ever since. He certainly had his moments here and there, but it's hard to justify that roster spot. I mean, we know the ballpark stinks too. Not that Tommy Kohler's one to fear, but I don't know if I want to pay 3.8 on FanDuel for him. Certainly in play for tournaments. I know it's kind of a cop-out, but that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, you could pick a guy in Washington here and there, but I probably wouldn't stack against probably not going to spin up for Harper, and if Murphy cracks the lineup, I'm probably not going there either.
I don't mind Harper on fantasy draft at 8,800. Anytime you get him under 9K, he's worth a look, but I agree with you. It's a tough day to pay up for him. Atlanta at New York taking on the Mets. We have Bartolo Colon against Ryan Weber. What a game this is here.
So I know you're going to ask me later on in the podcast, spoiler alert, you're going to ask me, name me a pitcher under like 9K who's going to grab a win. Bart Colon. That's the answer. Bart Colon grabs a win against Atlanta. It's not pretty. He's going to go 6 or so and change. The Mets are going to put up, 3 or 4 runs here against Weber, who's probably not going to go too deep. It's not going to be pretty for Bart Colon. He's not going to strike out a ton of guys, but it's going to be fairly kind of sort of somewhat efficient against Atlanta. The Grizzly vet, the Husky, Bart Colon. I'm not saying I'm going to roster him, but I'm not rostering. I get it. Atlanta's been pesky. Maybe I'm being stubborn. I am not rostering any Braves. I haven't been doing for a while. Every once in a while, I'll have the occasional one-off for Fab Five Freddy. But besides that, look, the Braves just don't do it for me, especially not in this ballpark.
Yeah, this game means a lot. We got another game that means a lot. Like the Mets, the Cardinals, the Giants, the Marlins, and the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is a really tight race coming down here for the 2 wild card spots. San Francisco leading the Dodgers 1-0 right now. So that would put a 3-way tie at 80 wins, 71 losses if the Giants are able to win tonight's game. So, I kind of agree with you. I think Colon is a pretty safe bet for a win here, and a lot of it has to do with Ryan Weber is not that good.
Yeah, but okay, he's not that good. Now, what Mets are you rostering against him?
I didn't say that I was going to target bats in this game. We're going to get to some bats. We talked about the Boston-Baltimore game. We're going to get to some bats here as we keep going.
Did you see? I missed it. I kind of caught half the story. Apparently, something happened with Jay Bruce. I guess he got the hook. Everybody was booing him as far as the Mets. They don't seem very pleased with Jay Bruce. They were not saying Bruce. They were actually booing, I believe.
Yeah, he's 3 for 35 or something lately.
Yeah,
but that's Jay Bruce. This is what you went out and got a guy that is one of the most. Him and E5, and there's a couple other guys that are super streaky. Cargo, they're streaky hitters. You went out and got a guy that's streaky. Also,
they took him out of Cincinnati, which that's definitely not the good move for him going to New York.
No, for sure.
Ballpark shift.
I don't mind Granderson and Cespedes, I guess. Don't mind Freddie Freeman. Outside of that, I think all 3 of those guys are tournament plays only.
Yeah, Cespedes fine. Is Conforto still 2K? I've been falling for this trap all season long. Whenever Conforto's 2K on FanDuel, I just can't help myself.
He's 2,200.
2,200. Oh, boy. If he cracks the lineup Mets 5th or so, I probably consider playing him because – you got to find a way to make elite starting pitcher lineups work, and he might be one of the ways to get there.
Yeah, he's too expensive on fantasy draft. 6,900. I would want him in the 5,000 range to be able to even think about playing him.
Yeah, I agree. You're not playing Conforto for any other reason than a punt, and there's always a chance of a lefty coming in, and of course with the September call-ups, a lot of these bullpens have four lefties or so. I've not taken a look at the Atlanta's bullpen. I feel like there's only a couple there, but whenever the lefties are lurking, there's always a chance of Conforto getting the hook, especially when you're talking about these games actually meaning something to the Mets. So they're going to be playing the game, managing the game as if, they got to win it, basically.
All right, let's move on. We have the Yankees and the Rays. Alex Cobb, Tanaka.
Yeah.
I would almost think that Tanaka's going to get shut down here soon. It
Oh,
wouldn't shock
okay.
me if this is his last start of the season.
Well, is he going to go out with a bang because, he's facing Tampa? Tanaka, we always talk about how he's super safe, but he does have a monster ceiling. We did see him strike out 10 Rays not too long. It was his last time out. I know it was recent. That's, of course, that's like a unicorn. That doesn't happen too often, but it feels like you can kind of sort of lock him in for 6, maybe 7. He's always a guy that, has issue the third time around. So 6 innings, maybe 7 innings. If you're getting lucky, you're kind of pushing it. And, 1 or 2 runs, maybe a home run, a solo shot here or there. And this Tampa team is just terrible. And, of course, it's a ballpark upgrade going from New York to Tampa. I feel like he's really, really safe. Is he going to grab the win? Well, have you seen that Yankees lineup? It's Gary Sanchez and who else?
Gary Sanchez.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't like Alex Cobb here. He in his rehab starts, he looked awful. He hasn't pitched well. He pitched well in one of his 3 games. I think they're just getting him game experience right now, trying to get him back. I think he'll be back next year. I'm not playing Cobb. I'm not paying this price for Tanaka when I can just pay up a little bit more for Kluber.
Yeah, that's kind of the thought process. The discount almost isn't enough there for Tanaka, just 1,000 more or so for Kluber, 1,500, something like that. It's about Cobb. Tampa's going nowhere. At one point he was a pretty strong arm. Of course, he's coming back from Tommy John, and there's no reason to push Cobb. I mean, he might get 90 pitches or so, maybe go 6 innings, something like that. But there's not a big ceiling here.
We have 12 baseball games tonight, and I just don't think I can take any batters from this game outside of Sanchez.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's just a full pass for the most part in this game. Somebody's going to bang one out. One guy's going to probably hit a solo home run or something like that, I expect. I think we have a 7 as far as the over-under. Tanaka's a slight favorite. But, if you had to pick one stick, is it Sanchez, and who's the second guy? You got to pick one stick on Tampa. Who is it?
Kiermaier grades out well against Tanaka as far as ground ball, fly ball, stuff like that. So I guess it would be Kiermaier.
Yeah, but you're not thrilled about it.
He's so expensive. I can't do it.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I'm probably not going to have anybody there either.
All right, LA at Texas, Derek Holland, Jared Weaver. Every single bat from this game, this is the stack tonight.
Yeah, 10 is the over-under, and Texas is basically a -200 favorite here against Jared Weaver. I'm pretty sure the Rangers are going to hit him with the Hein. They're going to put up a 7 spot, an 8 spot, a 9 spot. I assume it's still going to be hot. It's been in the high 90s the last few days, and it's probably not going to cool off out of nowhere. And you get Weaver out of LA, no marine layer to protect him, no rock pile to protect him, and he's just going to get absolutely annihilated.
Yeah, people talk about home road splits all the time, and Weaver's road splits are just god awful. 380 WOBA on the road, contact rate way up, strikeout rate is 10%. So
that's not good.
Whether you believe in his arm motion, putting his hand into the rocks, and you believe this story or whatever.
I love that theory. I'm believing it. I don't know if it's true or not, but I just want to believe the legend because it's fun to believe it.
It makes sense. I've been to Anaheim. I played home run derby at the Angels Stadium. The rocks are a real thing. They're so I get what they're trying to say by that story. I just think Jared Weaver sucks. And I'm gonna play all the bats against him today.
Yeah, Carlos Gomez, are you believing in the resurrection here?
I just think he was unhappy. He was batting 8th. Texas has moved him into the 1 spot. They want him to be involved in the offense. He's going to make the playoffs. That would boost a lot of people's self-esteem.
How do you stack Texas? Because there's so many options in so many different ways, right?
Yeah, but we're getting guys like Ian Desmond. He's 8K on draft. Carlos Gomez, he's 7,800. You're getting discounts on these guys. Nomar Mazara, he's 8K. He bats way down the lineup. Odor, just an excellent spot for him. Lucroy is probably the one guy that I wouldn't pay up for here.
I think I would play anybody on Texas with the exception of Elvis Andrus.
I think that's a fair point.
I mean, anybody else is in play to some degree. Moreland, I hate the fact he's a first baseman. I keep on giving that speech because, but of course for tournaments, sure, why not? He's in play. Beltre, perfectly fine with. Beltran, perfectly fine with. Desmond, sure. Gomez, Odor. And Lucroy, to be a little different. I feel like, I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like you're not a big fan of paying up for catchers, right? Don't you always look for a punt catcher?
Yeah, oh yeah. I like finding like yesterday, James McCann, like power guys that get lineup spots that are decent, that have upside.
Fair enough. And the other side, it's not like Derek Holland's particularly good either. Of course, Mike Trout, best player in baseball. You got to consider him, sure. Wait, have you been playing Andrelton Simmons? People have been telling me, because I'm always goofing on Andrelton Simmons. He's a great fielder, amazing. You don't get any fantasy points for the glove. He's actually had a pretty positive 2 weeks or so, but his entire career suggests that he's a terrible hitter. You haven't been playing as Simmons, have you? Please tell me no.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, enjoy your 2 weeks of he's going to continue to suck. You mentioned Mitch Moreland. I really like him on fantasy draft. You could play up to 5 first basemen if you really wanted to technically. He's only $6K. That's a massive discount. I really like that price for Moreland.
Yeah, I have no issues with that at all. And as far as the Angels, are you on Pujols as well?
Trout, Pujols, Cron. That's kind of where I would end up. I don't mind Escobar, where you can get him at a discount.
I'm not sure what happened. I just peeked the box score, but I'm pretty sure Cron left the game tonight. I don't know if he was a pinch run or something of that sort, but I know he didn't finish the game. He only had one at bat or one official at bat, maybe a walk or two. I don't really know what happened there. Oh yeah, you know what? My mistake. I'm looking at the box score now. 3 walks. So he had 3 walks, 0 for 1. He was probably pinch run for because they're down by 1. I imagine that's probably what happened.
That's probably what happened, dude.
There you go. I'm just sitting paranoia for no particular reason.
That's okay. That's why we have you on here. Cincinnati at Chicago, taking on the Cubs. John Lackey, Robert Stevenson. We kind of got done. We started the show by talking about Joe Madden and the Cubs pitchers. Like, if there's any manager in baseball that's going to limit his pitchers, you have to think it's Madden. For that reason, I'm kind of off John Lackey here.
I mean, he's going to go 6 innings. He's going to strike out 5 guys and give a run or 2, and he's going to grab a win. I think he's fairly safe against Cincinnati. And the Cubbies, as of right now, of course, you don't have an over-under at this point as we're recording the podcast because the weather, the wind is very fickle in Chicago, but they do have an actual spread, and the Cubbies are minus 245 here against Cincinnati, and I think they really get to Stevenson. And so we can kind of sort of lock in the W for Lackey. Of course, you can't lock it in, but I presume there's a very good chance, a much better chance than most. He's going to grab those 12 points on FanDuel, the 4 points on DK. Is it 4 points on draft? I believe it's 4 as well, right?
Yep.
But like you say, he's probably not going to go 8 or 9. He's old. He's crotchety. He wants to get a shower in by around inning 7 or so when he's up like 5-1. So he's safe. He's fine. I don't know if I necessarily, am okay with just grabbing 70% of the output that I'm going to get from Scherzer or something like that. But he's not going to crush your team, basically.
He's not safe today.
No?
Projected wind blowing out to left center 9 to 10 miles an hour. It's the night before, obviously, but if we get 10-mile-an-hour winds out to left center, I don't think he's safe at all.
What's the heat? What's the weather,
Rainy and 80 degrees. So, we're going to really have to pay attention to the weather in this game.
Yeah, for sure. We haven't really had that game this year in Chicago where, the over-unders, 12 or 12 and a half, where the wind's blowing out 30 miles per hour and it's 90 degrees out. I feel like that hasn't happened the entire season. But in the history of DFS, it has definitely happened. Where, pop-ups or home runs. Those are fun.
Those are fun days. I think you can obviously stack the Cubs. For some reason, Addison Russell still 2,500. I know he didn't work out yesterday, but again today, first guy I plug into my cash lineup on FanDuel. Yeah,
if you don't have the money to spend it for a guy like Lindor, Russell makes perfect sense. I imagine he'll once again grab the 5-hole or something like that, and it's just a pretty silly price on FanDuel, and I'm perfectly fine with locking him in there at shortstop, saving some money. And again, we talk about guys we're looking for that are cheap. So we can load up on our, elite starting pitchers, and Russell's a perfect complement to a guy like a Scherzer or a guy like Sale.
Yeah, Chris Bryant was batting 190 going into Tuesday night, and of course Dean runs so good that Chris Bryant decided he wanted to start hitting again. He's in a good spot here. Rizzo's in a good spot. It's a good spot here for the Cubs. Play him up.
Did you see his second double by chance?
No, I don't.
Double in air quotes. You're not looking at me, but a double in air quotes because it was kind of a blooper over Votto's head at first base, and he just completely botched it. The right fielder couldn't come in time, and Votto just was all turned around, and it just kind of dropped 3 feet from him, and it was a pretty awesome, pretty epic double, and I enjoyed it. Thank you for that, Votto.
Yeah, his first double was fair by 2 balls. It's just how good you guys run tonight. It happens.
Hey, scoreboard.
Yeah. John Lackey, I don't think I'm going to go out of my way to pick on him unless we do get a lot of wind blowing out. Rizzo would be the guy. Adam Duvall would be the guy. Scott Schebler would be the guy that I would look at.
Wait, you say Rizzo? You're talking about Votto, you mean?
Votto.
Yeah.
They're like the
Both
same
first
player,
basemen.
right?
Well, no, I don't think so. They're a little bit different to me. But,
Okay, hold on. Rizzo, 293, 31 homers, 104 RBIs. Joey Votto, 320, 25, 87. So
what are the walks, though?
I don't feel like looking that up.
Fair enough. But if you're starting a team tomorrow, you'd rather have Rizzo, wouldn't you?
If I was starting a team tomorrow, that's a good question, man. I don't know.
I want Rizzo. Votto's fine. Nothing against Votto. But I prefer Rizzo.
If you could pick one player in baseball to start your team tomorrow, who would it be?
Trout.
You're crazy.
Well, who should it be?
Kershaw. Come on.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, stop what? Pitching is getting
be
so weak in the majors.
Yeah, and elbows, Kershaw's – I'm not that I'm rooting for the guy to get hurt, but they're fragile. You're not supposed to move your arm that way. It's not a natural human move. He's going to break down at some point, just like everybody else does.
Oh, man. All right, let's talk here. Detroit at Minnesota, Jose Barreros against Buck Farmer.
Oh, I'm so happy to see Buck Farmer's name. I mean, it's Buck Farmer. Where have you been all my life? Or at least, he's been working out of the pen. I don't know how to pick on him is the problem. I don't really trust anybody in Minnesota. Of course, Brian Dozier. He's awesome. Yeah, let's throw Brian Dozier at him. He's amazing. Other guys in Minnesota to pick on Buck Farmer, who else do you feel confident in? Yeah, that's the answer, right?
If Kenny's Vargas is in there, he has power upside, but yeah, I like Grossman against lefties, so no.
I don't know how to pick on the guy. I'm not really sure. I mean, do you play like a guy like a Jorge Polanco? Is he somebody you work in your lineups on occasion?
We almost
Miguel
Sano today.
Miguel Sano is day to day, and why would they even bring him back at this point? He's one of their best players of the future, and there's no reason to push him. I would be surprised if he doesn't play the rest of the year. Buxton is he still buried in the 9-hole? I don't know how to pick on Buck Farmer, and it's a weird dilemma of mine.
I know how to pick on Barreros, though, because he really struggles with righties, and I think there's a few righties here in this Detroit lineup that might look a little good.
The thing with Barrios is, if you look at his minor league numbers, the dude is elite, and he's a monster prospect. But every single time he gets called up, he just walks everybody. He's not efficient. He's not in games, and against another spot where Minnesota has no incentive to push him beyond 5 or 6 innings or 90 pitches or so. Even if he gets there, he's pitching okay. He has really good stuff. He's going to be there one day, but I don't think he's going to be there on Wednesday, like you said. He's just a little bit too wild, and I imagine you have your eye on Miggy Cabrera.
I have my eye on all the righties here. This is a great ballpark for right-handed power. JD Martinez, Miguel Cabrera, James McCann. If he's in the lineup, I'll probably go back to the well on McCann. I know I like him a lot more against lefties usually, but I think that this is another good spot for him.
Yeah, Vmart, is he dinged right now? I think Vmart did not play on Tuesday night.
He's got a day off.
Okay, I'm pulling up
Kensler.
Let's see if we got a red.
Yeah, Kensler has a concussion symptom, so I doubt he's in the lineup today. Victor Martinez is dealing with a knee injury.
Yeah, and that's going to slow him down. So much if whatever stolen base upside he had, downgraded a little bit.
Yeah, that joke was awful. Pittsburgh at Milwaukee, Chad Kuhl against Jimmy Nelson. Another game. I told you we would get to some bats. So many good pitchers in the 7 o'clock and so many good bats in the 8 o'clock. This is another good spot that I'm guessing you don't want the pitchers here?
No. As far as Slip and Jimmy, we want him when you want to pick on him, you want him on the road. You want lefties with speed. So we got 2 out of 3 here. We got a meatloaf when it comes to Gregory Polanco. Besides that, who are the lefties on Pittsburgh you're interested in?
Josh Bell.
Yeah.
Josh Bell.
Problem is the first baseman on FanDuel. You could throw him in the outfield on draft, or I guess throw him as a random anywhere pretty much on draft, and you can throw him in the outfield on DK. But I just hate punting first base on FanDuel. It's just such a scary proposition for me. But he's fine. He should bat second, right?
Josh Bell.
Okay. Are you on board with Polanco?
Yeah, I like Polanco too. Hoping Joyce gets a start. That would be nice. This would be a good spot for him too.
Is he a cheapie? Oh, he's 2-1 on FanDuel.
Yeah, he's cheap on FanDuel. DraftKings, he's 39. Adam Frazier. He's another guy that I would look at here.
I think he's super cheap as well. Yeah, he's 2-2 on FanDuel. That is cheap.
You can get some really nice value on FanDuel with the Pittsburgh bats. You'll be able to fit in your Scherzer or your Sale, whichever route you want to go, whichever route your heart is telling you. Like the Pittsburgh bat's going to be a really good stack with one of your high dollar pitchers.
You know who's too cheap on FanDuel on the Milwaukee? Jonathan VR.
Yeah, I saw that he was cheap too. I don't have a lot of interest.
3-2? Dude's got like 20 homers and like at least 50 stolen bases?
16 homers, 57 stolen bases.
All right, I combined the numbers somehow, but close enough, right? He's the comeback player of the year.
Yeah, he is having a really good year. Don't mind 3,200, but you're taking up a third base spot that I really want Chris Bryant for today.
Yeah, Chris Bryant's really good. Or I guess Beltray certainly in the conversation of. But I just like VR because, I think he's just trying to get as many stolen bases as possible at this point. What else is he playing for?
Yeah, and if you really want to, he's always under-owned too.
Yeah, leads off, well-positioned for 4 ABs. If things are going really, really well, you might grab himself 5.
Yeah, ever since FanDuel moved him to third base, he's been low-owned in pretty much all formats. Ryan Braun, guess we're going to have to kind of mention it. Birth of his second child. I would guess that he's not going to be here in this game.
Oh, I didn't realize that was going on. I saw he was scratched or not in the lineup last night. So I guess he's probably going to miss more than one-on-one game, right? You got to cuddle with the wife for a couple days, I assume?
Dude, let me tell you, the first few days are rough. Been there, done that. I know you haven't, but been there, done that.
Yeah, so it's a fair assumption to say he's not going to be not going to be playing on Wednesday night.
I would put him as doubtful.
Yeah, and if he does play, he's in the doghouse.
Chris Carter, good spot for him. Love his upside every night. He's always a one-off tournament play. He's going to hit home runs, and it's going to happen. You just have to pick the night that he does it.
I can just never confidently project like this is the night Chris Carter bangs out 2 home runs.
Yeah, it's usually it's weird what he hits.
Mm-hmm.
Like pitch type wise, I don't have it off the top of my head, but it's a weird profile.
And he certainly has the capability to do it any given night, but it's just I never really feel like, well, this is the night Chris Carter. And then when you do feel it, he gets 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. So
it's either super ground ball pitchers or super fly ball pitchers.
All right, I'll have to dive into that after the show. That's why this is the first look, Stevie.
It is. If I remember correctly, it's ground ball pitchers. And looking at this matchup for him.
Also worth noting, Marte is dealing with the back, and I'm not sure if he's going to be back anytime soon.
Chad Cole, not a lot of innings, kind of a ground ball pitcher. So this actually could be a spot for Carter, if I remember correctly. All right, let's move on. Arizona at San Diego, taking on in Petco, Zach Greinke, Luis Perdomo. I'm a huge fan of the Padres. I talk about the Padres bats more than anybody in the industry. I don't know what to do here. I really don't, Dean. I've been looking at this game since 3 hours ago when I initially did my research, and I just look at it and I look at Greinke, and I just think about all the opportunity that I would have with Schimpf here.
Yeah,
and I don't know what to do.
Well, I mean, Schimpf, his power, his ISO is pretty awesome against right-handers, and as far as home runs in San Diego for lefty power, it's actually not terrible. For whatever reason, we just have this in our head that it's a terrible ballpark for home runs, but it's really not, especially for left-handers. It's slightly above average, actually. If you look at the numbers on Fangraphs in 2015, 2014, and Schimpf is really immense power. 3-1 on FanDuel, he's perfectly fine. Probably more of a tournament play just because he's sort of a boom buster. But when you say you stack the Padres, Jankowski, is that somebody you confidently roster?
No,
Dickerson,
it was a lot. It was Myers, Solarte, Dickerson, Schimpf, and then Solarte had that horrific accident with his wife.
Yeah, awful.
So really, it's come down to I've just been playing Schimpf as one-offs the last few days. I played Myers a couple days ago when he had the home run. Not pointing to the scoreboard, but I called that home run.
That is point. I think that's the exact the Webster's definition of.
Yeah, that was definitely scoreboard pointing. But I actually think Greinke's interesting because he's not that expensive today.
Well, what side are you talking about? Because I'm on FanDuel right now. He's 9-7, and that's too much for me.
Looking at him on Fantasy Draft, he's 16-2. He's 8-1 on DraftKings, if I remember correctly.
That's a little more fair. I'll at least talk. I'll talk to it. I'll have the conversation with Greinke. On FanDuel, I can't talk to it at 9-7.
Like, we're looking at it, and like he seriously could be considered as an SP2 today.
But Greinke is kind of, if you cover the name up and you just look at Greinke's numbers, you would say this guy is like, what, an average pitcher, right? Is that basically what we'd say? Of course, it's been kind of a down year, transition year. He's been hurt as well, so maybe that's not fair. But this is not the guy that the name brand does not match the numbers. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. In Petco this year, 14.1 innings, 4 earned runs, and 13 strikeouts. So, like, it's not awful.
And he doesn't go deep in games. Arizona's going nowhere. There's no reason to push him. They have like $120 million invested in him. I'm probably not going to have any Greinke. I can't see myself doing it. I'll say this. I'm more likely to roster a guy like Perdomo if I want to stack up on some bats than I am in rostering Greinke. Because Perdomo's okay. He's not, if you're going to punt, I think he's the punt pitcher today.
But he's not that. You're not getting a huge discount today.
Again, it must depend on what site you're looking at. On FanDuel, he's 6'6". Where is he in draft?
DraftKings, he's 63. Draft, I think he's 12-7.
That's pretty fair as an SP2. No?
12-4. I like Perdomo.
I think that's pretty reasonable.
I talk about Perdomo all the time. I'm a huge fan of this kid. He's not major league ready yet. He's a year away, and this is a kid that we're going to talk about a lot, probably towards the end of next year. But he just needs to work out some stuff.
He's got at least 6 in like 5 games in a row. There is some K upside to some degree, I guess. I think he can go 6, punch out 5. Probably not going to grab the W. You never really know, of course. But if you want to load up on some bats, I think he's the best route to do so. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that's what I'm going to do because I'm probably going to try to go for some cheap bats and get that elite arm. But if I'm going to be different in one lineup, I'm not a guy that runs out like 20 lineups or so. But if I'm going to be different in one lineup, it's probably going to be Perdomo and spend up everywhere else.
I kind of like it. I love taking right-handed pitching against the Diamondbacks. It's a good ballpark. They don't have a lot of left-handed power. Their left-handed power bat is Jake Lamb. He's really struggling at the plate right now. Whatever happens tonight, like he's been really struggling at the plate regardless. So if he can't do it against Paul Clemens on Tuesday night, like what makes you think that he can do it against Perdomo on Wednesday night? Much more strikeout upside.
Yeah, and Pollock, he made his cameo appearance. He came back. It was nice to see him back this season, but he's day-to-day again, and I can't imagine why. Again, Arizona's nothing to play for. He's one of their outfielders of the future. There's no reason to push him if he's not 100%. He's probably not going to crack the lineup either. So we're looking at some weak lineups there for Arizona. They
actually think Pollock's going to be back before the end of the year. Like, it's a groin injury. Just put him down for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Just put him out of his misery. I appreciate the fight. I appreciate him trying and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes it's just not necessary.
I agree. Bats from this game, outside of Shimp is a one-off. Goldschmidt, always a one-off. Just not something I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, Goldie's pretty fair on FanDuel. He's 3.8. That's pretty fair. I don't feel like I have to have it. He's a little bit more expensive than Chris Davis. Chris Davis, a little more boom buster. He's cheaper than a guy like Ortiz, who we like. Of course, Rizzo is in the conversation as well. But, again, maybe he has his tournament play as far as Goldie, but I don't feel like I have to have it. Is Tomas still, ridiculously cheap on FanDuel?
He has been. I'm guessing they didn't raise his price overnight.
2.7. 2.7 is pretty fair for his power upside. Of course,
he just did a double, as you said that.
Well, there you go. It's a sign, Stevie.
You're running good tonight, Dean. That's all. All right, let's move on to the last game of the night. San Francisco at Los Angeles. Kenta Maeda against Matt Moore. I think Matt Moore is really, really interesting here.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised to see the early Vegas line on this. What do you think it is? I don't know if you've seen it or not. What would you guess the early Vegas line is?
I haven't seen it. I would say Moore is a 130.
Moore is minus 130?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have the Dodgers minus 150.
Okay. Wow,
that seems – yeah. I mean, I didn't think Moore would be a favorite necessarily, but the Dodgers opened at minus 154, and they're currently sitting at minus 152. It's not changed. I figured it'd be like LA, minus 125 or so. That just seems like a really I guess it's a big endorsement of Maeda, I suppose.
I guess, but the last time Matt Moore was in Los Angeles against the Dodgers, he 8 2/3 no hitter against them.
That's right. Yeah. Well, what's his name? Broke it up on his bobblehead night. Seager, I
Corey
believe.
Seager. Yeah. I lost my mind that night.
Oh, you were ranting about the pitch count, right?
Oh my God, it was awful. Worst pitching decision ever. Or coaching.
There's still studies that say, a guy's arm's just going to combust after 130 pitches, but it's perfectly fine after 115 or 110. Like, I know we've been trained also with pitch counts now, because remember we used to watch baseball years ago where they didn't have pitch counts on the screen. Now we're pitch count obsessed. It's gone too far.
Listen, I played so much baseball. Like I can't remember a time. One time I can remember in my life I threw that many pitches.
And how did you like the next time out? Did you feel extra hard that day, or when you're icing down, I guess?
No, it was dude, I actually remember this pretty well. We were in Daytona. I was 14 years old. It was All-Stars for Little League. And we went 9 innings, extra innings, and I threw 148 pitches.
Yeah, that's too many for Little League.
We won that game, and we lost the next 2, so I actually didn't get to pitch again.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe they've changed the rules since. Don't they have rules in play for Little League where like you can only throw so many pitches, and like 75 or so you can finish the at bat, but after that you have to come out or something like that? I feel like that's a thing. No,
listen, I was not coming out of that game.
Well, I mean, there's rules, Stevie.
I don't care what the rules are. Like, this is a good game for Matt Moore. Like, the Dodgers struggle against left-handed pitching. Obviously, I wasn't on Matt Moore that night. I think I actually had a really good night that night anyway, but like, it was ridiculous that he was pitching in that. But looking at the Dodgers, not one person in this lineup has more than 5 home runs against left-handed pitching. Yeah. The only guy with an ISO over 200 is Puig, and we know, if Trace Thompson was back, he'd be a guy that I'm interested in. But it's just when the guy with the highest hard contact rate in your lineup against left-handed pitching is Carlos Ruiz, you know your lineup just stinks.
Yeah, as a proud member of Team Chalk, I will probably just flat out fade this game entirely. There's nothing really going on here. Maeda should pitch fine. Moore should pitch fine. Neither one's going to strike out more than 7 or so. Neither one's going to go beyond 6, most likely, maybe 7. But, it's going to be a 3-2 game, typical, Giants-Dodgers. One more thing, by the way, I'm just curious. You said you're 14 years old. Did you have a full beard at 14? Were you pitching with a full beard or no?
I probably had it going on.
I'm just trying to picture what you looked like at 14.
Actually, I didn't. I went to private school, and you had to be clean shaved.
Oh, shave those sideburns?
I shaved it all, man. Shaved it all.
Unbelievable. Clean cut, Stevie. We got to see those. Can you post that in the Twitter machine? I want to see.
I probably have some old baseball photos somewhere.
Nice.
So, like, you said Team Chalk kind of off his game, but, like, I'm surprised you don't like Matt Moore here.
Well, he's fine, and maybe he's an SB2. Sure, I'll talk to him. It's worth a conversation. What is he on DK and on draft?
He's only 7,900 on DraftKings.
That's pretty reasonable. I don't hate it as an SB2 at all.
Yeah, 15-2 on fantasy draft. Like, unless you're going down to Perdomo, you're gonna have to talk to your Team Chalk member here.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up DK right now, and I'm taking a look at wow, Scherzer's 13-3 and Sale is 14K. Good Lord. Oh, man, that's not a lot of fun. And then Tanaka's 11-2. The Klubat apparently is 11-9. Pitchers are really expensive tomorrow on DraftKings.
I was trying to tell you that earlier. We're gonna crush you guys so bad tomorrow.
I don't like this at all. George don't like this. Oh, man.
Yeah, this is definitely more tournament slate.
Oh, Perdomo is 6'3". We might play some Perdomo at 6'3".
You're gonna get like a lineup for me and Siege that's gonna have like Perdomo and Matt Moore.
Well, I want to get one of the big arms though. I just really don't like to step down and not get one of the elite arms. But 14K for Chris Sale. Good Lord, it's like hurricane prices.
Yeah, so I have to consult with my partner here, but yes. All right, so that's going to wrap it up here for the game-by-game breakdown. Time to play some home run derby. Obviously, there's no cores on the slate, which is very, very nice, and we don't have to worry about the Cardinals getting really lucky against the lefty and Dean getting runs there. But let's play some home run derby, and I'll let you lead off here.
All right. I threatened before, and I'll stand by my threat. I'm taking Big Papi.
I'm going to stay in that game, and I'm going to go Mookie Betts.
What about Sparkle? Chris Bryant, he's going to bang one out. No cheap double. He's actually going to bang one over the fence. That's happening.
Yeah, he looked a lot better at the plate last night. I will say that. I watched some of that game too. Oh man, I like so many bats from this game. I don't know where to get my home run. It's been a while. I think he hasn't had a home run it's been at least 10 games. I'm gonna go Ian Desmond.
Yeah, it's funny. I assume you're talking about the same game. I'm going to go there as well. And let's go with Gogo. Let's go with Carlos Gomez. He's going to bang one out off of Jared Weaver.
I hope so. I like his price today. He's a guy that I'm going to have a lot. Last one, a guy that I talked about earlier in the podcast, super contrarian, Mike Napoli.
There you go. I like it.
Love this spot for him. All right, at the end of the day, if you had to pick a pitcher to win, he doesn't have to score the most fantasy points, but he's not named Kluber, Sale, or Scherzer. Who do you have?
Oh, it's Bart Cologne.
I figured that.
I mean, Lackey's going to win too, but that's too easy. Lackey's winning.
Man.
Why do you hate Lackey?
No, I don't hate Lackey. I think he will win, but I don't want to say Lackey after you mentioned him.
Oh, okay. Oh, and also you have the Boston tie because your Boston fans don't like Lackey, I think. Right? Is that a thing?
Don't mind him. Don't care. I'm not one of those people that like hold grudges. Like Urban Meyer in Florida. Like people talk about Urban Meyer all the time. Like he won us championships. Like who could be mad at the guy?
Yeah. Well, a weird decision though. Didn't he like quit for his family and for health and all of a sudden I guess he doesn't I don't want to say the guy.
He always said that Ohio State was his dream job.
Fair enough. I don't want to accuse the guy of not caring about his family anymore. I wouldn't do that, but it just seems kind of interesting.
Yeah, he took a year off, but man, I'm gonna kind of go out on a limb here and say Matt Moore wins this game.
All right. Yeah, like your projected line was 80 points different than Vegas, and I wasn't that ambitious on Matt Moore, but I think it should be closer than it actually is. It definitely surprised me.
The good thing about the Morning Grind podcast, we talk about it all the time. It's the first look, and now you know what the line opened at. Watch this line move today. It's going to move.
Dodgers are going to close like minus 128.
I don't know, man. I think it's going to get close to even money.
All right, we'll see.
This is that no.
Say it again?
People are going to remember that no.
Yeah, well, we'll see. And it's a battle for the wild card spot, right? Or at least, well, I guess, no, San Francisco's battling for that wild card spot. They need the game more than the Dodgers do, I think.
Well, the Dodgers are not necessarily locked in yet.
I just assume they're not winning the division. Like I don't follow the race as much as I probably should.
Yeah, they're winning the division. They're up. It depends on what happens tonight, but likely they'll be up 5 games after tonight because they're losing right now.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, but if they win tomorrow, then it's 4 games.
That's true. That's fair.
So that's one good thing about like teams playing against each other. Like Matt Moore is going to go as long as he's pitching well today.
And San Fran is currently up and live in the podcast 1-0 in the top of the 8th.
Yep. So I like Moore a lot. Maeda, when he gets into that third time through that lineup, he usually struggles.
Yes, and that's why he doesn't go beyond. He gets like 6 and change.
The time.
Yeah.
All the time. So any final thoughts before we get out of here, Captain Chuck?
Who is Captain Chuck? I've been dropping these random pop culture references on you throughout the entire deal, and all of a sudden you drop Captain Chuck on me, and you stump me. I have no idea who that is.
I win, right?
I think you won. I'm gonna Google now. I don't know who Captain Chuck is.
I was the one that said chalk is donkeys, and Derek Carty lost his mind on the show today, and he didn't realize it was me until like 2 hours ago in the RotoGrinders chat. So like. I win today. I might have lost $50 to you, which is just a small token for winning your pop culture and Derek's trolling.
There you go. We're all winners today.
All right, let's get out of here. Good luck in your contest tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with some NFL talk, and we'll see you then.
Holler!